sexual autonomy for women is part of dismantling the patriarchy. People are threatened by polyamory because it upends all of the patriarchal training that we get. You are not the patriarchy, men. The patriarchy is a system, and it's a system that's responsible for making your sex life hard. The truth is,
it's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it. Before we get started, have you been feeling disconnected from your partner or wanting to talk about introducing kink in your relationship? You just don't know how? Book a consultation. I'm a board-certified sexologist and Somatica-certified sex and relationship coach with experience helping individuals and couples reconnect after years of missed connection. So stop pressing the snooze button on the conversations you want to have. Head to amandadames.com to book a consult. Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Kink Consultant Podcast. I am once again joined by Samia Mounts, my favorite voice actor friend, who I sometimes probably just bring on the podcast so that we can all enjoy her voice, but also I love talking to her. Welcome, Samia. Thank you for coming back on the show.
Amanda, I love you. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a treat to get to talk to you anytime we get a chance.
I know. Our conversations are so good. I often say at the end of them, oh, we should just be recording this, like just talk, because we go so emotionally deep so quickly. I mean, last time we spoke, did you see the comments on the podcast after you and I spoke? People thought just because you were poly that you were being selfish or something. And I was truly amazed because I was like, could she have been more communicative and helpful and kind in how she expressed this to partners? I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, I think it may have been the most commented on episode I've done. Like,
Whoa.
where people were, I know. I think people got religious in the comments too. And
I saw somebody like putting Bible verses down and
And as a religious
threatening.
person, I will go toe to toe with people on that because I'm like, absolutely not. Do not weaponize made up words, right? We all know it's not like God, whether you believe him or not. The Bible is not that. Anyway, I was fucking pissed. I was really angry.
I love the way you responded, though. You didn't sound angry in your responses. You sounded clear and compassionate. It was pretty impressive because I would have probably been like, get out of my face with that.
You know, when
Your
stopped,
deity told you to not judge people and look at you.
Yes. I did do that through his own language with Bible verses, but because I was just like, okay, we can play this game. It's a game because, you know, the Bible's a really long book. You want to find any point, you can find it.
Oh, yeah.
I think what calmed me down was in the end, he used some verse. I don't remember it, but it basically was like, no, it's my job to tell you. And I was like, oh, this is all about you and not about me or Samia. So like, good day to you.
Yeah, but people are threatened by polyamory because it upends all of the patriarchal, heteronormative, mononormative training that we get. Like I said last time, there's nothing wrong with monogamy. It's a perfectly fine choice, but it should not be the default, socially enforced only choice. Because humans aren't really monogamous. Like, we can choose to be. We might like
and
to be.
It's a big choice.
It's a big choice. We might want to be. That's fine. But like naturally as animals, there's no evidence suggesting that we are a monogamous species. We're not those birds that mate for life. We're not like those.
No, I completely agree with that. We choose what we need for ourselves to be happy, right? And somehow this became the default. And also, anytime I, as a monogamous person, even imply that it's okay to be poly, a lot of people act like I'm invalidating their decision to be monogamous. I'm like, no, I'm also monogamous.
Well, you know what they say when people get really defensive about something.
Yeah, that das protest too much. It's like
you're hitting a nerve. There's something insecure about their commitment to monogamy that they need to lash out like that when somebody says anything that's not even about them. And that's kind of like one of the evidence points I look at, like the fact that people get so defensive about their monogamy when anyone says anything about alternative ways of being and ways of having relationships. It's like, this isn't about you. If you're happy with your monogamous choice, that's great. Nobody's mad about that. But you're mad that other people are doing things differently. Why?
I'm nearly at 100 episodes now. After doing this show for a while, I literally feel like I know what people are thinking. So I just want to say to all of you thinking this, and I know there are some of you, poly is not in your face because the thought process is, it's fine. I don't care. I'm not judging. I just don't want it so in my face. Do you know what I mean? I don't want it talked about all the time. And I'm like, this is the point. Monogamy is is the default. So people are not talking about it all the time. It's just so much not your default setting that you think like, oh, it's being thrown in your face, when really it's just another type of relationship we happen to be talking about.
And the inverse is true. Monogamy is what is getting thrown in your face. Always.
Yeah,
constantly. From birth. Monogamy is thrown in everybody's face.
From movies, and specifically heterosexual monogamy. Like, I
specifically heterosexual monogamy, yeah.
It's only recently that I'm like, oh, your partner, him or her, or, you know, whoever they are, as opposed to me just defaulting to, oh, it's going to be the opposite sex of whatever I am perceiving your sex to be without paying attention. I swear this is not a clickbait episode where I'm just trying to get comments. Because I'm going to say that. People are going to be like, oh, I have one Facebook review and it's like, I liked her until she got political. And I think what was being political is like me being pro-choice, by the way. But anyway.
Right. Because it's so political to want women to have control over their bodies. That's so
how
political.
dare I want control over my own body? But anyway, my point is, like, every time you say something, people do come out. The polyamory thing. Maybe it's because I'm a monogamous person who creates content. I don't know. Do you get this on your own content?
I don't, but I think I attract people who are super into the idea of non-monogamy, you know, because I'm so loud about being non-monogamous. I really do think that sexual autonomy for women is part of dismantling the patriarchy. And all I want to see is for our species to dismantle the fucking patriarchy. And that doesn't mean men become slaves and we hate them. It doesn't mean we burn everything down and destroy the world. It literally just means we create a new social order where men are not placed above women and children, where we're all human and actually equal. I want to change the fucking Constitution to say all people are created equal. It's a small change, and it would be such a symbolic signifier to the entire country and the entire world that the United States is saying, hey, it's not cool to say that the default human is a man.
No.
That's all I want. That's all I want. It's really so simple. It's not about making anybody less than. It's literally about the opposite of that. So men, we love you. I love you. You are not the patriarchy, men. The patriarchy is a system, and it's a system that's responsible for making your sex life hard, men. Your sex life would be easier without the patriarchy. More women would want to have sex with you because you would have been raised with the skills to connect with women. So I want everyone to have good sex, and I want everyone to be happy and free and be equal. That's what dismantling the patriarchy means. Polyamory and sexual autonomy for women, I think, is a big part of that because so much of patriarchy has depended on controlling the sexuality of women. And women are, as you know, and as probably many of your listeners know, we're incredibly horny.
Yes.
Incredibly horny. We're out there fucking. We want to be fucking. We have desires and fantasies that are as wild as you can imagine. And we've been stuffed into a box of being told we only want to be with one man and we want to have babies and that's what we want to do and that's what's our place in the world. And that's just not true. So, yeah. I went up on a rant.
It's killing me. No, I love when you go on a rant because I go on rants too. I literally am like, talk. Because, you know, I love listening to your voice anyway. I remember someone wise on social media or somewhere saying the reason men get so scared when we talk about dismantling the patriarchy is deep down, they do know that women have been treated worse. And to them, the idea that dismantling the patriarchy, oh, what if we end up being treated like women, which is a really scary thought.
Yes. There is this novel that came out a few years ago called The Power by Naomi Alderman. And it's a novel. They made it into a television show starring Toni Collette. I never saw that, but the novel was great. And it basically posited the question, what would happen in a world where women had physical dominance over men? And in this book, women develop this power to control the electricity in their bodies. So all the women suddenly become superheroes that can electrocute you. So they have physical power over men, and the whole world order gets shifted so that now women are the rapists and women are the dominators and women are the bullies. And it's the opposite of patriarchy. And when I read it, I thought, oh, this is so wise because, yeah, like power corrupts you. It's power that's the problem. But in the last few years, reflecting on that book and doing so much more reading on feminism and patriarchy, I've come around to the idea that, like, no, I don't think that would happen. Women are the ones who bear children. Women are the ones who, like, have that visceral experience of caretaking in a way that men never will. I just don't think that women, if given that kind of power, would turn around and use it that way. But fantasy scenarios aside, there is no version of matriarchy that acts like patriarchy that we know of in history. All of the cultural examples of societies that have functioned as matriarchies or matrilineal societies are egalitarian and the focus is on keeping the community cohesive and raising the children. It's not about power and dominance because it's not about putting one group of people above all the others.
All right, Kinksters, I want you and your partner to join me and my dom in Jamaica for Swingcation October 10th through 17th. We'll be there teaching the art of erotic spanking, fantasy mapping, and helping couples deepen their kinky connection. All relationship types and orientations are welcome, so head to swingcation.com and use code TKC50 for up to $400 off. We can't wait to see you there.
The way patriarchy is.
It never has been about putting people together. Like, there's a lot of facets of truth for myself that I hold on to. I think women gossip because gossip keeps us safe, or has historically kept us safe. When you mentioned a matriarchal society being slightly different and just not having that sort of power dynamic that the patriarchy has, I also thought about, I wonder if men would create gossip circles to keep themselves safe. Because right now, gossip circles are to push, I think about the manosphere, which is heavy on my mind lately. They're created to put women down or tell men, here's how to be more powerful. You're losing power, get it back. And then I'm going to ruminate on this for the next 3 days. I know myself. I'm going to think about this because, to your point, is it power that corrupts or the caretaking side of it? I still think it's a little bit power, right? Because we still have examples. I guess I'm just thinking sexual abuse, but I think back to my days as a dominatrix of how many men came to me with their babysitter fantasy, and it turned out it was actually just their version. I don't know if I mentioned this to you before. It was just their version of the events, but really I was like, wow, that was sexual assault and you were a minor. And they were also technically a minor, but it was like a 16-year-old with a 9-year-old, and that's not okay still. So I'm like, there's power, there's confusion, there's caretaking, there's so many elements that I do think we're just at a stage where it's impossible to untangle the knot we're in right now. However, it doesn't mean we can't cut the cord and start over.
Oh, and this is a question that has been on my mind for years as well. Cut the cord and start over. What does that mean? We burn it all to the ground and start from scratch? There's like a horrible population culling event and humanity has to rebuild. Like, that's where my mind goes. But I don't want that to happen. I love our world. Like, I want to believe that I do. I love our world. I think there's so much beauty. So here's the other thing. Like, patriarchy is not about benefiting men. It doesn't actually benefit men. Like, there are some little practical ways that we can point to. Like, yeah, men aren't expected to do household labor or childcare and like benefits them. But I don't think it actually does, because I think those things would make them better people. Patriarchy makes men into creatures that are cut off from their humanity and their empathy and their emotions. The people it actually benefits are just the wealthy, powerful ones at the top. And those can be men and women. And they have historically included some women because women have had to participate in patriarchy to survive. It infects all of us, but nobody's benefiting except for the fucking Elon Musks of the world. And do we really want to keep on putting dollars in that guy's pocket?
No.
Is he a good steward of our species?
I don't even know if he is of our species, actually. That's why I paused.
I'm literally crawling up the walls.
I know. I get it. But also, I feel like he has the alien ability to crawl up walls, too. So I wasn't sure if you were channeling who he is, because, like, I don't know if he's of our species. He's a weirdo.
He is a weirdo, but he is definitely a product of this world.
Fair.
Just like our president right now in the United States is absolutely the product of our bloated,
but it's not
patriarchal,
our
capitalistic world.
Okay, fine. Yes, actually, that's the thing. Yes, it is the world, a oneness. We're all living in it. I just think that I'm not classist, but it's impossible to not see different class layers in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they are a class of people that I do not consider of my world. I wouldn't even begin to understand their world, just like I don't think they would understand mine, except in some event. Like, do you remember, what was that movie where Eddie Murphy and someone else, their lives are traded for a bet of $1? Was it called Trading Places? It may have been that simple. Yeah. But like, they get thrown into, like, Eddie Murphy ends up really rich. The other guy ends up really poor. It might
The
be
Prince
Dan
and the
Aykroyd.
Pauper, right? Trading Places. It's a 1983 film. It was him and, Dan Aykroyd.
Anyway, this is not important. The point is, bar a situation like that, you're never going to know what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. Okay. So with all of that said, I have a question, which I understand the irony of two women talking about this. Do you believe in the male loneliness epidemic?
Do I believe that it's happening? Do I believe that it's a real issue? Is that the question?
Yes. Or is it marketing?
No,
okay,
I don't.
You believe it's a real issue?
I think it's a real issue, mostly because I've seen ample evidence of it in my own life amongst the men that I personally know. And
versus 20 years ago? Sorry, I don't know your age. I'm
good
37.
question.
When I was 17, I'm even thinking about my mid-20s. Was there a male loneliness epidemic? And I don't know.
I'm 42 and I don't know either, but I do know that it seems like men are struggling more to connect socially. And I think probably there's a million things going into that. But I think the fact that women as a group are collectively having higher standards now for what they'll accept in relationships is a big part of it. I do think that's happening. I do see women out there being like, I'm not going to accept this anymore. I didn't see this 20 years ago. Groups of women online, like normal suburban moms, women with kids, women with careers, normal ass women getting together and speaking about men in a way that almost feels like they've been radicalized. Like,
Fair.
Like saying things like, in a patriarchy, there is no man that you can trust right away. Every man has to earn his place in your life, and you should make it hard because they can fake it for years. And that's true. I've seen this happen in, my own relationships and my friends' relationships where like a guy will put on a show for the first 6 months, year, 2 years, and then the mask drops and you find out that he's been an abusive piece of shit all along, but he was doing what he needed to do to sort of tie you down and make you dependent on him. I've seen it so many times. And women are now like, I'm not doing this. I'm not moving for a man. I'm not living with a man. I'm not depending on a man for anything. I'm not joining my finances with a man. You cannot trust men in this world. So if that's a thing that's really happening, and I think it is, and I'm part of it, then it stands to reason that the men out there who have not gotten their act together and really done the work to depatriarchalize their own thinking, they're probably feeling pretty lonely. Like, why are all the women leaving us? Why won't they date us?
That's actually one of the strongest answers. I ask a lot of people that question about the male loneliness epidemic, not on the podcast, just my friend groups. That's one of the strongest answers I've heard. I will give you that. I can't disagree with any of it. I'm reeling from one of the things you said, which is totally fine. But like, I moved for someone. I did Somatica to become a certified sex and relationship coach. I did a live recorded session with them about me moving. It wasn't on my podcast. It was on theirs. But now I'm here.
listen to that.
You know what? I'm going to link it somewhere in here too. I'll put it somewhere in the show notes. So read all of the show notes beginning to end, see all of Samia's links, and then find this one too. I am here in Kansas City, Missouri. It took 3 months, but I have friends. My boyfriend is gone away for the weekend. I stayed home because I want to work, but every day I have plans with friends. Okay. I've only been here 3 months. I've set everything up to kind of like the same level in Vegas, but the relationships aren't as deep. I'm not calling someone being like, hey, I'm running to Sephora. Do you want to come with me? Although I actually might do that on Saturday with people I'm getting coffee with. I might be like, who wants to come to Sephora right now? But I'm in this weird between place where I'm kind of like, okay, so once again, I've built something and it feels like a house of cards because I'm like one strong wind and that's blown over because I'm not staying in Kansas City if something happens to this relationship. Sorry, now you're my like, I'm offloading to you, friend.
Give it to me. Yes, give it to me.
Thank you. By the way, I did warn Samia before we got on this call that this might happen. So I just want to sprinkle in a little somatica lesson of like what I'm doing is offloading. And I did ask if she had the capacity to have this discussion today, if I got personal. And Samia did, lovely as she is, agree to it. But I just want to like clarify, before offloading, sometimes just get consent. Well, I would say always get consent or know who the people you're about to offload are because everyone's going through something heavy right now.
Yeah,
okay.
And people don't always have the bandwidth. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really great point.
Okay. Thanks. So cutting back to me actually offloading, I am tail spinning in this thing of, oh my gosh, am I about to once again develop relationships? And if this relationship doesn't work, I moved to Vegas for my ex who wanted to move to a different state for tax purposes. So we moved to Vegas and I built a life that I loved. I'm like, am I going to do all of this again? Am I making the same mistake again? And I am holding my current partner feet to the stove because of things my ex did. But at the same time, the feelings are very valid. And you saying this about like, I'm not going to move for a man. I'm not going to do all of these things just for a man until he proves himself. And I'm like, well, here I am. And the feeling is strong right now because I did move. I'm not going to weaponize sex. I want to be clear about this, actually. I love sex too, right? But do I feel in a dominant and submissive relationship where we have a power exchange dynamic that I consent to? Do I feel as comfortable in this consenting power exchange if I also feel not secure in the relationship and not secure here because of fears of a previous relationship? You're nodding, so you get it. Like, what are you thinking right now as I share all of this?
Well, first off, you should know, if this makes you feel any better, that I moved to Texas for a man. My husband, who immediately announced he wanted a divorce as soon as I got here and we were in the middle of buying a house together that I am still living in, and he's not here. All right?
Not even in Texas, or just not in the house?
Well, he's in another country. He basically capsized our relationship out of nowhere as soon as it was too late to back out of this plan of moving to Texas and buying a house together. And then he pieced off to Europe a couple months later, and I have not seen him since. I have not seen my husband in over a year.
Oh, wow.
I've gotten burned by moving for men multiple times, and this was the last time, and I'm never, ever, ever fucking doing it again. You want to be with me? You can come move to me if you want. I'm not moving with you. I'm also at a place where I'm so feral. Like, I have another partner who is an anchor partner who I've known for a long time, but being in a relationship with him like this is a new thing. And I'm like ready to end it at any moment if he crosses a line, because I'm just so fucking sick of giving more than I receive in relationships, of being expected to just give endlessly, and they don't give the same amount back, and they get resentful if you ask for them to. I'm over it. I'm so done.
Oh, God. So we're both in difficult situations.
Yeah, we're in difficult situations. Part of it is our own social programming. Like, we want to provide everything for our partners. We want to be everything for them. We want to be perfect for them, but we cannot be. And that's crazy. And they're not doing that. So why are we? And I'm at a point where I'm like, having a partner is an elective. I don't need it to be happy. That's what I learned in the last year. Since my husband left, I was so depressed, and I fucking got a dog, and I got friends, and I got gigs in town, because I decided I could leave Texas and start somewhere else, but it'll be financially devastating. If I stay here, it's quite a good financial situation for me. I just have to be here and live in this house that I own with my husband, who I would rather not own a house with, but it's done. So I just decided to make the best of it, and so I have done that. But at this point, because I did that, I know that totally on my own, give me a dog and a cat, I'm good. I don't need a partner. I don't need a man. I'm happier and more at peace without one in general. My happiest times in my life have been my solo poly times when I got to control everything. I didn't have to deal with an anchor partner getting in his feelings because I had a date. Even though I've been so clear about being poly, I want to be in charge of my life. I am my own main character. I'm not going to center anybody else in my life. I am the center, and I always will be. And that's where I'm at this point. And I'm 5 years older than you, so this is a new thing.
So it's a new thing for you now, but looking back at your entire life, has it been there and the call is just getting louder? Or was there a time where having a partner mattered a lot to you?
Oh, yeah. It mattered so much. And it really came out in my marriage where I went too far for him. He's not a bad person, but he was a very bad partner to me. And there were strong elements of emotional abuse that I don't think were intentional, but they happened. Yeah. I developed an anxiety disorder. I mean, I've always been slightly anxious, but I've never had to seek out treatment. I had to seek out treatment. I found out I have OCD, which again, like, was never a thing that I needed to seek treatment for, but it got so bad in that relationship. I got so depressed. I was suicidal for the first time in my life in that relationship.
Oh,
and the only reason it got that bad was because I believed that the right thing to do was everything possible to make the marriage work, including erasing myself.
That is so real. And that is the societal pressure, I also think, that comes with the default monogamy setting of, you did all the things right. You have the dream life. You have the house, the husband. You are a dedicated wife. Even, shock horror, as a polyamorous wife, still a dedicated wife, right?
Yeah.
You know?
I was so dedicated. For 3 years, I was monogamous with him. And I did that to try to make him comfortable and give him time and space to get more comfortable with what he had agreed to with me, which was polyamory. And he never really got there. I mean, we got to a point where we both had other partners, but that didn't go well either because he kept choosing other partners that really didn't want to be polyamorous.
Okay, I have a question. What it sounds like you've just described, and the way a lot of other women are talking about things, how you're talking about centering yourself, why isn't it called a woman loneliness epidemic too?
Because we're not lonely. Because we have each other. I know so many single women, and I don't think any of them would say loneliness is a big part of their daily experience because they have friends, they have pets, they have relationships with people. Women are so good at cultivating relationships. Men are the ones who have a problem. Like, women go out and make friends. Women will find people and make plans. You'll meet somebody at a coffee shop and you'll exchange numbers and you'll hang out. We make friends. We try. You have been in Kansas City for 3 months and you have friends you can ask to go to coffee and go to Sephora.
I was thinking about it. I joined a group that I'm actually not going to publicize here because I ended up canceling, but I invested money to meet people. And then I started going to pickleball over and over and over again. And I just don't understand why that's harder for men.
My
so
partner
that's what
has been here for 3 months, and he's out on a coffee date right now that I set him up on with one of my friends.
Which is beautiful. Good for you. I actually do. I want to say my partner. This is the
first thing he's done on his own that's social.
Wow.
Since he got here. He has not
because he didn't want to?
I just don't think he knows how. I think that men are kind of handed everything in their lives and they don't know how to make the effort to go out and form relationships with people. Like, he just has not prioritized it. What he has prioritized is finding money gigs. That's it. And men are told that money is what where their value lies. So like, and women are told it lies in our youth and our beauty, but like, we might pursue youth and beauty, but we do it together.
My Sephora trip with girlfriends. I'm like, I need to go with girlfriend. You're right. We are pursuing it together. Okay. I'm really enjoying this because I am throwing you a lot of, what goes on in the bubble in my head of like, well, why are men lonely? Why are women not lonely? And I love that you have answers. I can tell I'm talking to someone who has thought even more deeply than I have about it. I'm just like in the beginning stages of thinking and looking at research and being like, what's the research? What am I seeing in real life? What's everyone else seeing? And I think you have a really good handle on it. And once again, you are basically saying like, this isn't men's fault. Men, we're told, go get money. So that's what your partner's focused on. I guess it sounds like it's like, get a job, get set up, be the foundational person that all of the women or the woman in your life expects you to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the language, the messaging. Yeah.
They're not set up for relational success, boys and men. When all of society conspires to separate a boy from the wholeness of his emotional range, you end up with these men who have so much trouble feeling a feeling. And if you're cut off from your own feelings, it's really hard to be attuned to other people's. So how are you supposed to form deep relationships easily? It's fucked up. We handicap them. Bell Hooks wrote about this extensively. It's a form of societal child abuse that we inflict on boys. And we have a different form of child abuse we inflict on girls. But with girls, we do encourage them to be relational. We encourage them to take care of everybody but themselves. And we encourage boys to take care of themselves and nobody else. So,
I mean, women are encouraged to be skinny and beautiful, so that's a type of care.
Sure.
But it's a danger. It can be taken to such an extreme.
But we're encouraged to do that not as a form of self-care, but as a form of making ourselves appeal to men.
Yes, always.
So it's still like about them.
Bad joke. But yes, it is about everyone else. I have a question. Would you say you are more competitive or more of a caretaker? Like if you had to choose to go out
to kill you to win.
Yes, that or pick berries and make the food. Like in a society 1,000 years ago, which role would you as yourself today choose? It was a flat structure, no matriarchy, patriarchy, any of it. You just had to choose, am I the competitive one or am I the caretaker one? Which would you be?
Why can't I be both?
Good question.
I can have a berry picking contest.
Choose it for. Yes, no. Berry picking contest.
Who can gather the most berries today? Go. You can make anything competitive. I bet you my baby will suck on my nipple for longer than yours. Let's go.
This is why I love you. These are valid questions, but it's not the game. Or it's not what I'm setting you up for.
You're asking me to choose between like hunting and gathering, essentially?
Yes, essentially.
I choose gathering. I don't want to run. Gathering is so much more efficient. You get so much more food for your time than you do with hunting. Your time and your energy. Plus, when you're gathering, you can chat with your friends.
But do you get the joy? Do you have the surge of excitement? Like, what fills your cup more?
Personally, I mean, I am very competitive, but what fills my cup is bringing people together and watching everybody like work on a shared goal and accomplishing it. I don't need to win the race. I don't need to win the contest. I am competitive. Like if we ever play Scrabble, you will see a side of me that is quite terrifying. Maybe it's like not likable.
I want to see that. Like I do actually want to see that version.
I'm a sore winner. Yeah. I'm a sore loser. I'm bad. But that being said, like day-to-day life, I want peace. I want harmony. I would choose picking berries.
Unrelated. The point I wasn't even thinking about though was like, okay, the men went out and did the hunting together. The women picked berries together. And I think everyone was doing it together. So there were like two sets of communities and things were flatter in that alone.
And we have evidence that some women hunted and some men gathered.
Oh, I knew about this. Some women hunted. I guess I did not think about this. Some men gathered, but that makes a lot of sense, right?
What would the twinks have done? in a hunter-gatherer society.
You
Come
are right.
on.
There are some people who are just born to
I know so
go
many maternal,
hunt.
nurturing men who I could not see hunting down a wild boar, but I could absolutely see handling the food preparation. You know what I mean? Like,
Well-
there's just a wild diversity in humanity. No group is a monolith.
We do force
it.
that.
Yeah, in our society. But again, it's because we can't appreciate all the flavors of humanity that actually exist. But yeah, there's archaeological and fossil evidence that in hunter-gatherer societies, it wasn't exclusively men hunting and exclusively women gathering. There was a mix in both groups.
Yeah.
It was just more men were hunting and more women were gathering, but not exclusively.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense. So
Yes.
this is a very long preamble to the fact that I was listening to a creator in the morning when I get ready. I like auto scroll and just watch stuff. So I didn't get to see the comments, but he was talking about how boys are raised to be competitive and girls are raised to be caretakers, right? You sparked my memory of this because of the child raising thing. And I was thinking about it. Maybe my parents did not try to do this, but my younger sister is a much better caretaker and I am extremely competitive, like in a not so good way. And I wonder sometimes, does that influence how you grow up or how much of it is what you're taught and how you're taught to be from a young age versus who we just are as people? As my Persian father definitely wanted me to be a girly girl, a lawyer or a doctor, but also a girly girl.
I forgot that you're also Middle Eastern. This is why we look like sisters. I'm half
Yes.
Jordanian.
It really does make a lot of sense. What's your other half?
As white as the day is long, like translucent
same.
white, very, very white. My dad
Irish.
is a
My mom is-
snowflake.
My mom is blonde haired and blue eyes. I think about it every so often. I remember it and I'm like, yeah, how are kids being raised? And are men truly raised to be competitive? Is that what stops them also from seeking community? That competitive nature. And the more you're in community, the more you have to give over to sometimes not being the leader, not being the one who makes decisions.
Men are so comfortable taking orders and following orders. Like, I love
That's
this
true.
thing that Jamila Jamil's been saying a lot lately, which is like, the reality is men are naturally submissive, women are not. That's why our world has to work so hard to make women submissive and convince us that we're submissive. But the reality is men are submissive. They love following orders. They love being told what to do. As a pro-dom, you know this. Men
I
love
do know
being
this.
told what to do.
They
They're
do.
naturally submissive.
There is an element of it where I think they do enjoy, they get something out of it. But I also, as a submissive woman in my relationship, I really like the clarity that I get of being told what to do. My boyfriend made not even a rule. He just said, when you come home, because our house was getting a little messy, he was like, you can have 2 pairs of shoes at the door. The rest go in the closet. You hang your keys here, your glasses here, and the pickle boat goes here, and your handbag goes here. And every time I walk into the house, I'm on autopilot and I'm like, oh, this is so easy. Why can't he do this for the rest of my life? Why can't I do this myself for the rest of my life, like different parts of my life? But I'm like, as a submissive, I do like being told what to do. But I understand what you're saying. The army is made up of men who love to conform and get so good. I know they go through boot camp and a lot of women are in the military as well,
Oh, yeah.
but they get so good at just falling into line. And they enjoy it and they spend 20 years there. And some people who leave the military will say things like, the military is the only thing that ever made sense in my life.
Yeah, gave
And I'm
me
like,
structure that
oh,
I really needed.
yeah.
And also the military, the fact that it's a war machine aside, I grew up in a military family. I grew up on a military base. I have a military husband. I know the military very well. Yes, they exist to go to war and go to battle and kill people, but within the ranks, relationality and community is key. You cannot have a cohesive armed forces without soldiers that know how to be in community with each other. So they really push relational skills, community building. The military is so concerned with community and relationships, and that's why it functions so well. It's actually the most anti-patriarchal socialist institution with as much power as it has in the world. Like,
That's a good point.
we have universal health care in the military community. We already have the infrastructure to have universal health care for everybody in this country. All we would have to do is expand the military system to include everybody. We could do it right now.
Wow.
And it's so
That's
interesting
crazy.
that like conservatives are so pro-military, but if they actually learned anything about the military, they'd find out that the military has been doing all of these feminist things to decrease rape and sexual assault within the ranks. They've been doing all these sexual harassment trainings. They do so many things to make sure that women are seen as people. It's terrible what the federal government is doing right now to the military as far as trans people are concerned, because we're losing so many people with expertise and years and years and years of experience for no reason. But the military is a progressive institution. I wish conservatives could see that more. The military is extremely progressive.
It would be interesting if everyone could see that more. Like, because that's fascinating to me now. But now that you've said it, it makes sense.
Also, like the gay rights movement started in the military in World War II. It was
I didn't know that.
The modern gay rights movement had its origins in lesbian and gay soldiers being drafted into World War II, gay soldiers, lesbians, what are they called? The WAPs, the Wacos? I don't remember. There were groups. There were a couple of women groups in World War II that were doing things. And that's where the gay rights movements, as we know them today, got their start. So it's really interesting. So to go back to your original point, I don't think being bred for competitiveness is necessarily the thing that cuts boys off from being able to have community and build relationships. I really do think it's the cutting them off from their emotions that does that.
Yeah.
Because girls are competitive as fuck. And there have been lots of studies, like there's this great book by Cordelia Fine called Testosterone Rex that busts through a bunch of myths that people believe in because of pseudoscience and pop culture about how testosterone makes boys so much different from girls. But it's all bullshit if you take social programming out of it. So like if you put a group of girls and boys together in a competitive arena, the girls will act less competitive than the boys. But if you put the girls by themselves and there's no boys watching, they're just as competitive and in some studies more competitive than the boys.
That I believe and is interesting. But also, do you know that study of all girls school versus all boys schools versus mixed schools?
No, tell me about it.
All girls school, the women do perform better because they are just focused on their work and they're not actually trying to compete with each other looks wise. The one way to compete is literally that academia type of way of like, okay, I'm just going to be the best here.
Mm-hmm.
And all boys schools perform worse because they are focused on just having a laugh and not really doing well. But if you mix them, girls start performing worse because they want boys' attention. This is according to, I should look it up.
Because boys don't like smart girls.
So then boys, and that is the idea that they want the attention, and boys will not joke around as much because they want to be seen as mature. Maybe class clown a little bit, but they're not all just going into that caveman type of like, oh, like this is a funny, dumb joke. Because if anyone's been subjected to their partner, their husband, boyfriends, male partners, male friends, jokes, I'm telling you, I do not understand how we are told women aren't funny, because I have heard the dumbest jokes in my life come out of a man's mouth.
It's just ridiculous. It's just
some people are funny, some people aren't. But like the idea that all women are not funny really annoys me, because I'm like, no, there are a lot of unfunny men too.
Patriarchy is full of contradictions. Like we have this idea that women aren't, made for academic pursuits. We're not like that smart. We're really better for like staying at home and taking care of kids. Like men are the smart ones. But then in schools, you'll often see the smart girl in class being put next to the remedial fucking boy to fix him. That was done to me. So if we're the less academic sex, then why are we constantly being asked to fix the boys?
And also outperforming boys in school. I am upset because whatever about how I feel about the male loneliness epidemic and my own skepticism about it, what I will say is the numbers do show that from the age of 5 onwards, basically as young as you can go, the curve sort of diverges of how girls are performing versus how boys are performing. And that does tell me something is different, or maybe people do need to be treated differently to excel. I don't know exactly what it is, but there is something happening and it is shown in the numbers. I just can't put my finger on what that is right now. And I guess for the last 20 years, the fact that even those things are changing does make me think maybe there is a male loneliness epidemic and I need to just check on my own bias in the whole situation. That's why I enjoy talking to you, though. You lovingly, not even correct. You're just like, here's what I think. And I'm like, it makes so much solid sense that I'm like, okay, maybe I should look into this and see if this is how I think too.
Well, likewise, I think it's a fascinating idea that possibly the male loneliness epidemic is a marketing thing. Like, I had never considered that idea. There might be something to that because we do have echo chambers, you know? We have bubbles. And when one person starts saying something who everyone listens to, then and everybody else starts saying it, and then it can take off and it can have a life of its own, and it might not even be true.
I'm
Like,
going to say something triggering. So
Yeah, say
suicide
it.
trigger. One of the major things that I hear about the male loneliness epidemic is look at how many like men commit suicide at a higher rate. And I say, look at attempts. Attempts across women and men are the exact same. Women suck at committing suicide. And that's a fact. And I'm glad it is true because they live another day to hopefully get better. But the failure rate of a female suicide is very high. And that is why fewer women commit suicide, but just as many are actually trying.
Wow.
Insert joke here, whatever you want to say. However, my point is there is a female loneliness epidemic if we are using suicide alone as the data point to decide if loneliness is true at
Well,
all.
that's only if you're making the assumption that the only thing that causes a suicide attempt is loneliness. Yeah, women have much higher depression numbers than men. Even though men tend to have more trauma in their lives, women are sort of subjected to like a constant low-grade trauma and then also have a lot of big T trauma. I've seen statistics recently that say like in general, men experience more trauma, but women experience more depression. When you're living in a world and you're a woman and the world says that you're less than a man, no matter how much progress feminism has made, we still have fucking assholes in this country trying to move towards taking the right to vote away from women. There are Gen Z influencers who are women saying, I would give up my right to vote tomorrow if it meant that we could have a society where babies aren't being killed in the womb. It's like, honey, you're 20. Do you know what you're saying? Like, this is a real clip that I heard recently.
Do you know
Go
how many
listen.
comments I get that say things like repeal the 19th, like women's
Yeah.
right to vote?
Yeah. They want to take our
Yes.
power in society away. We are just as thinking and feeling and innovative and interesting and creative and fucking badass as men. And yet the world is telling us that we're not and we're not supposed to be. So yeah, of course fucking women are trying to kill themselves.
This was not your point, but I would like to see a video where a man says, I'd be willing to get a vasectomy so no babies are killed, right?
None of them will ever
there'd
say
be
that.
zero sacrifice there, right? Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, lady, to your point of this young woman, you don't have to sacrifice yourself to save humanity, but for some reason you've been taught it is your job to sacrifice
Patriarchy
yourself.
is the reason. It's not for
There
some
we
reason.
go.
It's a
Yes.
rule of patriarchy. Women are expected to sacrifice everything for men. Men are never supposed to sacrifice anything for women. Those
But they
the
are supposed to
rules.
be the sole providers.
That's not sacrifice. That's doing a man's job in this world, and then he receives all the benefits, which means sex, legacy, respect, all of those things. He counts.
Do you think that's not sacrifice too? To explore what you want and make money? Because to me, that's the one area where I do have empathy of like this idea. And believe me, maybe I have empathy because I'm like, no, I don't want a trad wife life, but can you make more money than me? And I'm just going to be blunt about that. I actually don't want that. I want to be so successful that I'm like, I've chosen a person I love. I'm like, let's go have fun. And like, you come work with me at my job instead of you being the breadwinner or something like that. I just mean that I do think it is the biggest sacrifice that a lot of men were taught for many years. Be strong. Just go to the job, make the money. It doesn't matter that you hate your job. Your job is to provide for a woman. Or your family. I feel for that one group of people. I love the ways that we think alike and different, but on this one topic alone.
Yeah, I do think that there's something to that. It's tough because we have a modern idea of finding the thing you love and turning it into your job. That's not traditionally what work has been. Traditionally, work has been, and especially for men, it's like menial labor. It's like you're supposed to hate it. And we've got this, new white collar thing where you're doing it in the office instead of in a factory. But I really do think one of the ways that patriarchy chews up and spits out men is by making them into little worker and soldier drones, right? And telling them that they're the king of their own domain, and that makes them worthy of respect and makes them valid and means they count for something because you're the king of your little kingdom with your wife and your kids. And yeah, you do this shit job and you put your body on the line, but like it means you count. I think it's a scam.
It does sound like a scam when you put it that way. I had a man recently on the podcast because a few episodes ago, I said masculine and feminine or something, and I lost followers over it. No one comments on the episode, but you saw that clip where I was like, listen, I know I made people angry.
Well, I started listening to your most recent episode earlier today, and I heard you apologize, and I was like, ooh, I need to go find this episode. What did she say? So yeah, what happened?
We literally just talked about men and women on dates and the masculine energy of like, what women expect from men. And there's a lot of women sort of saying, I'm done with men, right? I think it's because it's not that we want a man to do all of these old school type of things. However, on dates, we were talking about first dates and how I personally do want a man to pay for the first date. And I know a lot of people want to split the bill, but that's what I want. And I want the guy to plan it. And that's what I'm looking for. And while it's a preference, we said masculine, feminine, and just the fact that we used the word masculine made people really upset. Wow. I lost followers. People were in my DMs. It was a mini fallout that kind of like gave me a thrill because so much of everything I say just makes everyone happy because I'm a natural people pleaser. I felt like it was a mini growth moment of like I said it, but then I also apologized because I was like, okay, I think men are feeling emasculated by what I said because they don't want to do those things. And it's that thing of same monogamy polyamory thing of like what I said invalidated their masculinity or their feeling about what masculine is. I am not 100% sure. So anyway, I was like, let me explore this because instead of just brushing past it, I was like, let me find someone to talk about this with. And I was lucky enough to be introduced to a man who is a former alcoholic. His podcast with his wife is called Untoxicated because it's about getting over alcoholism, like detoxing from it, building your relationships back up after it. And he had a lot of great insight into non-toxic masculinity and how in today's world, he described all of the things you said about how he thought he was king of his domain and how he could act however he wanted in his house, even though he never hit anyone. He thought, oh, I'm a great father because I never hit anyone and I provide. And he didn't realize his kids didn't even want to be around him. So he says all of this on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk about how modern day masculinity means providing safety. And we don't even mean physical safety anymore. We can all buy a gun. We can buy an alarm system. We can do many things, whether you agree with them or not, they're in your constitution or not. You can do a lot of things to be physically safe. But the emotional safety is also masculinity now, and men are having to learn this in a world where they didn't learn it as children. And when you mentioned what it's like to be a man and the king of the domain and the scam, it just reminded me that that is a lived experience I have heard from multiple men at this stage.
Yeah, and I have deep empathy for it. The truth is, it's so complicated to talk about this because it's easy for the frustration with men's behavior to dominate a conversation. But the reality is we wouldn't be talking about this at all if we didn't fucking love them and want them in our lives in a way that's not toxic and abusive, even at low levels. And the problem is, in patriarchy, that's really hard even with the best men. Even the most well-meaning, the ones who identify as feminists, there are pitfalls we all fall into, and we fall into them too. The people-pleasing thing, the erasing ourselves thing to preserve a relationship with a man, that's just as toxic in a different way. It will ruin a relationship. It ruined my relationship. I do think that my marriage, I don't know if it would have survived, but I know that it would have been way less unhealthy for both of us if from the very beginning I had been like, I refuse to erase myself. This is what you agreed to. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But I got to get out of here because this isn't what I signed up for. And I really wish I'd done that early. I could have had a much less depressed last 6 years.
I'm so sorry that it has been that depressing for you. And
I mean, obviously
lesson. Suicidal. Yeah. And that's what life is. I think that's why people say they enjoy their 40s so much. Like a bunch of people have assured me, because I'm 37 and I've loved my 20s. I've loved my 30s. I'm like, I feel like I'm peaking. And a bunch of women in their 40s are like, nope, 40s are even better. And I think you just described it. You're like, oh, I learned something from the 6 years of my 30s that now I'm learning to undo or learning how to move forward with those lessons. I feel like you have opened my mind in so many different directions because I work with a lot of women who don't want to have sex anymore with their husbands. And then as we dig into it, for a long time, they didn't want to have sex. Sex wasn't that important. But what I'm realizing is every single time, what I'm actually realizing is they erased part of themselves to keep the relationship going. And that does not mean the relationship needs to be over. Them and their partner just need to almost start dating again, to start from scratch or at least redefine themselves in a non-erased version. And that's not the husband's fault in most cases at all. What it actually is this default to erasing yourself so that you can fit into the world you're supposed to want.
Yeah. And we all have this. I mean, it goes in the other direction too. Take a straight man who wants to be pegged and put him with a patriarchal woman, and he's going to be shamed within an inch of his life, and it's going to be horrible for him.
Yes. And if you watch the episode that came out today was with my good friend Lara Sky, and we were talking about not just how people are raised. If you have kids at home and you want to be a man wearing a dress, just please raise your kids to at least not shame you or to normalize, like, listen, people have different lifestyles. You are actually raising your child. You can teach them to be more open-minded.
In some cultures, men wear dresses as a rule. Throughout history, I mean, a few hundred years ago, it was men who were wearing wigs, makeup, and high heels all the fucking time.
Right? And then we just decided
stupid.
this is now supposed to be the way. And we're always deciding things like that. We were talking about how we get in trouble on social media for saying things we shouldn't say, right? And how we watch 90s sitcoms and they say even worse things. But somehow sex has been even more clamped down on. The more open we become as a society, the less it seems the media wants to talk about it or make jokes about it or have fun. And you can say, oh, everyone's just so woke and so sensitive, but that's not what we're talking about. We're literally talking about not being able to joke about sex at all. And then on top of that, I'm noticing that idea you just described. If you're with a patriarchal woman and you want to be pegged, you are going to be shamed very quickly. Last night, I was watching a show on Netflix called Rescue Me that I did watch when it first came out in the early 2000s. And it's about firefighters who went into the towers during 9/11 and they're dealing with PTSD. And the show is not about this because it wasn't about it, but it's just talking about all of their PTSD and how they're all trying to seek help and how they're all coping with it. And everyone around them is sort of making fun of them, telling them to get over it, telling them they don't need therapy. A therapist comes to talk to them and they all walk away despite all of them secretly wanting help. And the show's not actually about men needing more help or more support. That's just a factual life thing for them.
This is how society, the people you love, your own community, all are being manipulated by patriarchal ideas to keep people in their places. We want men to be traumatized so they will do what they are told. We want women to be traumatized so they will do what they are told. It is by design. And I think that the reason we're seeing so much backlash to things like getting help or talking about sex or feminism, all of this, is because the people in power, the Elon Musks of the world, they know that their time is coming to an end. Maybe this is tinfoil-y and conspiracy theory, but I don't think it is. I really think that what we're seeing is the dying gasp of an antiquated ideology that exists solely to keep rich men where they are, and people are breaking free. And I love every single time a manly man goes to therapy. This is a win, okay?
Yes, it
Every
is.
single time a manly man collapses in tears in a woman's arms and she holds him and doesn't hold it against him is a fucking win for humanity. Like, we need that. Every single time a man gets on his knees in front of a dominant woman and does what she says is a win for humanity. Like, we need to subvert all of these ideas because the reality of humanity is we all contain multitudes. We all have masculine, we all have feminine. Everybody has these things in different proportions that change throughout their lives. And if we let ourselves be as full as we actually are, men and women, men can cry, men can dance ballet, men can knit, men can also fight, women can also fight, women can be competitive, women can be addicted to gambling. Like, everyone can be all things. And if we allow that, dismantling the patriarchy, allowing everybody to be exactly what they are, is dismantling the patriarchy. So let's keep on going.
I love this. So I also realized, I'm like, we are now 1 hour into recording. I'm not sure how much of this will make it in, but pretty much the full hour will be in. And I'm like, what did I bring Samia on to talk about again?
We
like,
were
and I don't even.
We were supposed to get updates.
Yes,
I
you know
have
what,
an
though?
update actually that's like in line with your
Please.
actual podcast theme. I am now with my partner dating a woman who is a pro-dom. And she's a pegging specialist. Her name is Lyra. She's beautiful and she's so my type because she's like so feminine, but also so masculine. She's taller than me. And it's like really fun. But yeah, I've been getting more of an education and a peek into the world of kink than I've ever gotten before just because of this. And it's wonderful.
I am so excited. So now we already know that you're going to be on again because I want future updates on this.
About that. Yes.
I loved this because this was just like having a conversation with, obviously, because life updates were one thing. And now you've like teased a life update that I definitely want to get into, hopefully in a future episode soon.
Yes, let's do it. I'm down whenever. And you're going to be on my show again soon. So I'm excited about that. So Closet Ed is a high production value narrative and PR style journalism podcast about people who look totally normal but are closeted in some way. There's 11 episodes and it's still at the beginning of my podcast feed. If you want to listen to that podcast, it's great. Amanda, you were on the Closet Ed interview series, which I was doing after that season finished to keep the feed alive.
Yeah.
And then the interview series ended up being so fun. And the future of Closet Ed came into question. So I decided to just rebrand. The show is now called Happy Slut.
Oh, I love it.
And I celebrate humans who take joy in their sexuality in spite of how patriarchy tries to stop us from doing that. So it's just about joy and playfulness and fun and delight in sexuality. So that's the show you're going to be on next.
I'm going to be on Happy Slut. I love it.
You're going to be one of my happy sluts.
I am excited because that is such an important message. So is Closeted, but I think that this is like, I am out celebrating it and very forthcoming with this, and I love sharing my stories, so I'm excited to be one of your happy sluts.
Thank you. And this is also a show that I can do week after week without end, like in perpetuity, which Closet Ed is not. Closet Ed has to be seasonal because each episode takes such a long time to make. We'll see if that show comes back. It'll depend on if I can get financial backing and a team, but for now, I'm really having fun making Happy Slut. So Happy Slut is available wherever you get your podcasts. It's video on Spotify and YouTube, and I'm working on bringing video to Apple. But yeah, it's fun, sex-positive conversations with fun, sexy people. And I've got some really cool guests on the lineup. I'm going to have Midori, the very celebrated kink sex educator, on the show soon.
Oh my gosh.
And we had Dixie De La Tour, the sex positive icon from the Bay Area, who's actually is the reason I was introduced to Lyra. So many cool guests. Callie Little, the illustrator of my favorite tarot deck, was on. It's a fun show.
I saw that. Okay, that's really cool. Or I think you maybe posted something about that. And I was like, wow, the illustrator of my favorite tarot deck. I think that is so cool. Like, I also have a favorite tarot deck.
Slide into their DMs because that's what I did in a work.
I need to be sliding into more DMs. All right, Samia, I just thought we'd talk for an hour and be done, which was so silly and naive of me. I'm like, in what world did I think you and I would ever just stop at 90 minutes?
We have to actually have phone calls, I think, because otherwise every time we record, it's going to go really long.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my private phone call with Samia that we just happened to also record as we discussed.
Wait, I forgot. I'm going to send you all these links to put in the show notes, but Happy Slut is where you get, but find me on Instagram and TikTok at Happy Slutcast. And I write essays about my exploits on Substack, samiamounts.substack.com. Go subscribe.
Happy Slut's difficult Instagram or social media name. Are they not banning you and being like...
They're not banning me. My Spotify links get censored when I send them on text messages. So, like, they won't show the image for absolutely no reason.
Oh, I think that might happen me maybe too. And I just didn't think about that as a problem.
I mean, I'm participating in avoiding censorship in some ways, like misspelling sexual, which is fucking stupid. I don't know. I've also seen some people, like Luna Robbie of the Sex Stories podcast has totally rebranded to avoid censorship. And she's like, I'm just not interested in fighting censorship anymore. And I get that. I'm sort of still in a phase where I'm like, fuck the censors. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell the truth. And the people who want to hear it are going to come find me. We'll see if I stick with that in the long term.
I love that. I think that's totally fair. I'm on a mission in life to destigmatize the word kink. So I'm going to keep using kink. I'm less attached to BDSM, but I am so sick of everyone avoiding the word kink, but talking about kink.
I'm sick of everyone pretending like slut isn't a word that's already been reclaimed. I mean, I was in a dressing room last fall with a bunch of 20-year-old Christians who were all saying, oh my God, you look so cunt in that outfit. Okay, we've reclaimed cunt. The young kids are using the word cunt to mean fierce and sexy.
You're teaching me I feel so old right now. Irish people never didn't think, well, cunt meant a different thing, but it wasn't harsh. Like, we lovingly called people cunts. I still lovingly call people cunts.
It's super normalized in, like, the UK and Australia, but, like, here it's been such a thing, but now it's not. It's been reclaimed. Slut has been reclaimed. People will say, oh my God, you slut, when you tell them a fun sex story. Like, normal-ass, mainstream people who go to church use the word slut that way. So why the fuck does Apple Podcasts think it's not okay to put the cover graphic with the word slut on it? They're telling me to have their tall art, I have to censor my cover graphic. And I'm like, so you'll show the small version with the word slut, but I can't have it a little tiny bit bigger unless I censor it?
And my next stop is the manosphere, though, to see if they're allowed to say slut in places. Because I don't know. Someone recently told me to change Instagram to say I'm a man instead of a woman. I was on nothing, and now I am a man, and we'll see how that changes. Story for another time. Samia, thank you so much. Please, everyone, go listen to Happy Sluts podcast and check all the links in bio. And just for Samia, I'm also going to include the link to that Somatica podcast episode where I was the person talking about moving. I might need to revisit it myself to center myself, actually. It was such a pleasure chatting to you. I cannot wait to be on your podcast, and we will talk again soon.
I can't wait. Thank you, Amanda.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Email info@thekinkconsultant.com. Until next time, keep on kinking on.